Hey guys, welcome to DevOps School. In this video tutorial, we are going to learn about Docker. It helps us to create, deploy and run applications by using containers. After going through this tutorial, I promise you that the concept and understanding of the Docker will be absolutely clear to you.
But before that, let me ask you a few things. Are you dreaming of a career with higher pay and more responsibilities? Or are you ready to take your skills to the next level this year? Then start investing in DevOps School certification level courses which will help you to emerge skills for a wide range of entry level roles and as well as higher potential future positions. But with thousands of courses online and in classroom worldwide, finding the right one for your career goals can be difficult. You can consider our courses like Agile Developer, Agile QA, DevOps Certified Professionals, Site Reliability Engineering, DevSecOps, and Masters in DevOps Engineering, where you will have access to well-structured, easy-to-follow course content that has been developed and will be delivered by industry professionals. You can join on our training programs globally through online platforms, and if you are looking for classroom workshops, then we have regular sessions available in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Delhi NCR, Mumbai and in Pune. Simply compare our many courses, find the one that suits your style and schedule best and start today.
So these are the 5 commands. Using that you can monitor any containers. But it's not like only one thing you can monitor using all the commands. Different output you get it. For example, let's see that here. How many containers I'm having? So I want to see Docker PS. Okay. Now this is a 1 container, 2 container, 3 container, 4 container. I want to know the logs of the containers. When I say logs, see here, it says fetch the logs of the container. What does that mean? Basically, they fetch the PID1 logs. Again, I'm repeating. When you say fetch the logs of container means PID1. Okay. So here, Docker logs. And here I do Ubuntu. See, these are the commands which you have in a logs. Remember, in the PID1 remember these are the commands which you see I had run on the PID1. Look at this here. Anyone remember? I got inside a container, I got inside the etcd, I removed one. This was the demo I did for the diff command, if you remember, right? And then I cat all these things. So this is a log of the PID1. Okay, nothing else. Now, if I go and see the logs of Jenkins container. So let me show you here. Docker logs, and this is the Jenkins container. Okay, see here. This is a Bintini log. Okay, so here log command, using log command, you can see the logs of the container in a straightforward way, PID1 log of that container. Okay, guys, did you understand this now?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, guys, PS command you have already run so many times. It will list out the running containers. Now, what is a stats command? Okay, so guys, these containers, right now, how many containers I'm having? See here, 1 container, 2 container, 3 container, 4 container. I want to know each of these containers is consuming how much CPU, how much RAM, okay, and how much network and how much IO blocks. So I would like to know that. Okay, so how do you know that? So Docker stats and enter. Now the stats will give you consolidated report for each one of these containers which is running on your host. You see that percentage of CPU, memory usage and limit, and then IO blocks and network blocks and everything. So yes, this will give you all this information whatever you have. Okay, so now if you want to know individual container information also, same command followed by container ID, and you got to know, okay, this is the thing. Now, is there any way where we can limit that CPU and RAM for the container? Yes, you can do that, but you have to do during runtime only. So whenever you use the run command, you can pass that memory and network and anything, and not only memory and CPU, lots of things you can pass during runtime. Okay, so this is the way stats command you can monitor the CPU utilization, RAM utilization, and so on. Now next command in my list which we have is a top command. Now what is a top command? So guys, understand this way. Okay, whatever the container you are running, right now 4 containers, and each containers you may have a different processes. So let's say one container you have a 5 processes running. Right now, maybe Bintini Jenkins has a two processes only. If you see that Docker execute container ID ps-ef, you see here two processes running. This is a temporary one. One is Bintini, one is Java. So now how many containers I have Jenkins? 1, 2, 3. So 3 containers I have Jenkins. So I want to list out in the host machine how many process I am running with Jenkins.jar. Look at this here. 3. You have 3 containers and 3 processes. So in a nutshell, yeah, you think container is running with their own PID, but for the host machine, this is a sub process. I told you yesterday also, someone had asked these questions. So I draw that 3.0, 3.1, something like that. Okay. So now coming back to the question, what is a top command means? So guys, top command will tell you for each container which is the host process, because see, this container is holding which process ID, PID in the host machine. How do you know that? So for that, what you have to do, first type the docker ps, you got all the containers, and then docker top and the container ID. Okay, and then now this PID which you see is a host PID. Again, I repeat, this PID which you see is a host PID for that particular container processes. Okay, so top command will tell you the host PID, and using that you can trace that CPU allocation, RAM allocations, again, all that stuff. So if you want to trace that, okay, that container is running. You want to kill that container, not through kill and stop. You can also kill this PID and you can get code. Okay, guys, did you understand that now?
So the PPID is something container unique ID for every process.
PID is the real process ID. PPID is a parent PID. Every process ID has their own parent PID. And a super parent, who's a super parent? 0. We say, right, in the universe we say everything has come from nothing. So in the computing world also, everything has come from the 0. Okay, so everything has derived from the 0. Let's prove it. See here. See here. 0 has generated 1, 1 has generated multiple other processes, and this is a PMAP, process ID namespace. This has come from the PID namespace. So it's like that. Okay. So here, top command will tell you for that container, whatever the process is running, what is the PID in the host machine, not in the container. If you want to know the PID in the container, then you have to exec and ps-ef, which I've done so many times. But top command will tell you the host PID. Guys, got it?
This PID should be same like you queried, right? In the host machine ps-e elf grep jenkins.var, right?
Yeah.
That
I'll show you. I'll show you here. See here. I'm just grepping the jenkins.sh. Okay, see here. 2766 is matching, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So I said, remember my keyword, host PID. I never said container PID. Top command will give you the host PID. Got it?
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. Guys, last command what we have here in this R list is event. What is the event? So basically, see, if you remember in the day 1, I said architecture of Docker. Let me recall that first. See here. Human talk to the client, client talk to the daemon. So Docker daemon, we also call it sometimes Docker server. So guys, if you want to know what is the logs of the daemon, then event command you can use it. Okay. So in event command, you can know the server detail, Docker daemon detail. So see here, Docker events. Nothing is coming, but you have to open up a new console. And what do you want to do? See here. You want to know really what is happening, what command is being passed to the Docker daemon. So just create one container, run -itd Ubuntu. I'm creating one container. You know that run always create a new container. Please hard code your mind. So itd, why I added, I explain it to you. Otherwise, it will get exited. See here. I said run command, and run command internally in the event container create, network connect, container start. So I said create, start, become, and within that you have a network also to get connected. Okay, so this is the way you get this thing. So right now you are, I'll do this different containers. See here. See here. It has done 4 things. See here. It created a volume, container created, volume created. What is a volume? I'll talk about a little bit later. But volume created, container created, network connected, volume mounted, then container started. These are the 5 things it has done in this thing. Now you must be wondering, well, how come the volume has come here? Here it's not coming. So that's an image developer who has decided to create a volume and mount it at some place. That's the reason this behavior has come. Image developer. We will develop an image also in some time. Okay. So guys, these are the 5 commands.
Yeah, one question, like, so event is something can be attached to some workflow something. See, for example, we discussed about the wait, right? If something kills, right, how to handle that event, and we need to store somewhere, right? So there is some unexpected.
So Docker event logs you can write in the some files also, and by default it's not writing, but you can do that. For example, Docker log file. There's one file which is called JSON file, Docker config JSON file. You have to stay in that. So Docker log file, Docker server log file, server log file enable. So there is one file which you have to write it, and in that you have to give the path, and that automatically enable this. So that's not a problem. So how can you do that? So you have to write this file name daemon.json. In that you have to specify that logs I want to rewrite. By default, this file will not be there, but you can write it, you can create it, and then you can do that. So where is that? So you can create like this. This is not the one right now. This is not the right page. So like that you can write it, syslog and many different logs, and you can start doing that. You have to restart that stuff again. You have to write in this file. In Windows it will be here, in Linux it will be here. Okay.
So can't we handle events like in Java and all we handle exceptions, specific exceptions, right? So to do something about something.
Why do you want to handle? This is not a programming language, no? This is not a programming language. Docker is a platform to run the compute environment. So here I'll put it in this way. Do you handle exception while running the virtual machine? Like if this is that, right? Remember the rules it states. Again, I'll recall these rules. What decides this container is running? See here. These rules, please read one more time. Where is it? Now see, physical machine is running as long as the PID one is running. Simple rule. So if PID one is running, so physical machine is also running. Virtual machine is running as long as the PID one is running. So container is running as long as the PID one is running. Now who set the PID one in the physical server? Operating system guys. They set it up system D. Who set it up in the virtual machines? Operating system guys. But here in a container, who sets it? We sets it. Who develop an image? And here it can be anything. Make sense?
Okay.
Okay guys. So now these are the commands which I run to display the monitoring, and these are the commands I run. Okay. Now this is the URL again I'm sharing with you. This pop-up is coming again and again. Okay. So these are the commands. After that, after this, the Docker session is over. We will focus on the learning images. Okay. Docker images. Okay. Before that, I would like to finish one more topic before moving to the Docker images. I would like to finish one more topic, and that is called Docker volume. Docker volume. So guys, any questions, any confusion you have before moving to this Docker volumes? Any questions anyone have?
No, Raj.
Okay. So guys, please focus on this. This is very important for all of you. It will help you a lot. Trust me on this. So now, what is the Docker volumes? So guys, containers are inferal. When I say containers, that means these are inferal. Okay. Inferal means once the container is created, data will be there. The moment the data, you remove the container, data will not be there. Let's prove it. So guys, here I have how many containers? There's multiple containers. I'll do one thing. I will stop all the containers and have only one container because I want to have a demo flawless. So I stopped all the containers and then I'm deleting all the containers. Okay, now I have no containers for my information. Okay, these are the exited containers, so I have to delete these containers also. Okay, so guys, these are the containers. I got it. Okay, Docker ps-a, Docker ps. Okay, there is no containers right now. I will create one container, Docker run -itd ubuntu. This container I created in front of you. This container is there. Now I'll write some data inside a container. So Docker execute this container. I can go inside also, but I'm not feeling to go. But from outside only I can create, so I to go inside this. So touch opt devops.txt. Okay. So this file I created, I will validate whether this file is there or not inside a container. So here opt, guys, this file is there. Now you know that where is this file is there. You have to go Docker info. Please focus on my screen. And here registry's location is here. Varlib Docker. Everything is inside it. Now I will explain you little later this structure, but not now. So I'm finding using 9x command devops.txt. Do we have that file here? See that this file is here. Okay, the file is here. Now this container has that file devops.txt. Now I'll stop this container. And here if you see that there's two places. Why there's two places? I will explain it to you later. But that file is there still. That file is not lost. The container is running. File is available, two places, no problem, but still is there. I will stop the container. Can I check the file is there or not? See, there are no two files, same file, but one file is there. Data is not lost. The file is still there. Means as long as containers are available, containers are even running or stopped, data is available. But the moment I delete that container, that is very important data, by the way. Did you understand the problem? That's the reason we say containers are inferior. Got it? Guys, did you understand that problem?
Yeah.
So the problem is, the challenge is, goal is how to make data persistence beyond a container's life cycle. Means containers has gone, no problem. But the data should not be gone, because data is everything. See, you can run 2000 instances of Jenkins, but can you get the data? No. So data is important. So if you have understood the problem, then I can talk about the solution. Can I talk about the solution? Docker Vault. Okay. So for this also I will share one reference document to you. You can refer it anyways later for the reference, but for time being, I am Docker Vault. This is the documentations. You can refer it if you want to know, read about more, but I have already explained it to you, so you can use as a reference. Okay. So guys, solutions are Docker volumes. There are three types of Docker volumes. One is volumes only. One is mount, and one is tempfs. Okay. Now what is a volume? So guys, this volume will get stored inside. Let me tell you. This volume will go store inside this location. Okay, got it? Okay, here can we go and check? See, these are the volumes. Now you must be wondering, I have not created any volumes. How come you got it this much, so many? Anyone has a clue how come you got it these volumes? Can you go and check inside that? Go and check. So containers has gone, but data is still not gone. So what is that? This is empty, by the way. Let me check another one. Get comfortable. Do you know what is this file for?
Jenkins Docker files.
Right, yes. So guys, you don't have any Jenkins container, you see here. Don't have. But the data is here. Data is not gone. So how come? That developer of Jenkins image, if you remember, I was showing you the demo, Docker event command, and then when you created a container from the Jenkins images, then it was creating one volume and mounting a volume to the container also. That is the volume here we have. How it is being created through the image itself during runtime, that is a different question. But right now I'll show you the manual stuff. So now these are the volumes. Okay. So guys, what can you do with it? So here you will work with creating volumes, attaching volumes, deattaching volume, deleting volumes, all these things. But here, this Docker volumes are three types. Volume, the one which is getting stored here, and the mount will get stored any place in host machine. Any place in host machine. And tempfs is basically memory. So memory, anything is stored in the memory, you know that. If you reboot the system, then it will get erased. So you know that. Post memory. So guys, this is the one. So first let me work with this volume. So what can you do with it? So I'll teach you one approach. Using that you can learn yourself also. If you don't know anything, just type volume. Let's say Docker volume. That's all. So you'll get all the commands here. See, you can create a volume. You can inspect. I said, right? Remember, inspect command you can use for containers also, image also, volumes also, network also. So inspect. You can list out all the volumes. Prune. Prune means remove the volumes which is not been used and remove the volumes which you want to remove it, even though if it is used or not used, whatever it is. So Docker volume ls. See so many volumes. ls, if I do volume ls, also will do the same thing. Now I want to prune it. So can I prune it? Because these volumes are not being used. So why to keep it? Let's prune it. So I'm pruning this volume. Yes, I want to prune it. And you see all volumes got deleted. Okay, so you have no volumes right now. Can I create a volume manually? Create command. Which volume? Dev volume. See here. I created ls dev. Now, can I attach this volume to the container? Yes. How? Docker run -itd. You know this command very well. Ubuntu. You know this command. How do I attach this volume? So -v. Which volume? Dev. Where you want to attach inside a container? opt. Where? Raju. Guys, one container you got it. Can I check whether the container, the volume got attached or not? So Docker exec container ID df-kh. See here. This is the containers. Now, anything you store in the container, let's touch this path, Ramu Kaka .txt. This is a very important file. Do you have this file? Let's validate. See, this file is there. Do you have that inside a container? Do you have this file here, dev? See, Ramu Kaka. Can I copy this? Can I create one file here? Raju.txt. Here also I'll create. Can I check inside a container? See. Now, can I stop the container? File is gone? No. Can I delete the container? File is gone? No. So we achieved the goal. Now containers is gone, but data is still persistent. Can I use this container data, this volume, somewhere else with other containers? Why not? Other containers here. Docker exec ls opt or Raju. See, we use the containers data volume data with other containers. So guys, this is the way you can work with volume and make the
two Dockers have the same volume.
data persistence. Did you understand that now? Guys, did you understand that now? Hello? Guys, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Can I attach two volumes? Yes, why not? Can I attach one volume to two containers? Why not? You can do lots of things here. See, I have one volume. Can I create one more volume? Volume QA1, QA2. QA1, QA2. Can I attach this volume QA1, QA2? So Docker run -itd ubuntu here -v 1 QA1 -v 2 sorry, it's a wrong mapping. 1 QA1 2 1 and here QA2 to 2. See here, you can make the spelling, something has wrong, I'll correct it. What is this? It says QA2 is the invalid option. So okay, yeah, this path is wrong. It should be OPT. Got it? Done. Docker exec container ls opt. Done. So this is the way you can list, prune. Finally, you will stop the container. List out volume ls and Docker volume rm. Remove it. Right now it's in used. Okay, so you have to remove the container. Forcefully also you can do that, but not interested.
Now, what will happen if we update or update the dev volume also to that same container, like 3 volumes in a container? Will there be a conflict when both the containers are accessing the same volume?
It's possible. But one thing you forgot, these containers, you are giving a lot of special treatment. But when I look at it, these containers are nothing but a system process. And as per the system process rules, you know that if one file is being used by one process, so that system lock that file, so other files can read it but cannot modify. That's called concurrency. The system rule actually. So if you think that volume has certain files which is used by multiple containers, so those who are using the first one, he has to lock that file before using and before changing. Getting your points?
Okay, there will be a queue process then.
Yeah. So that's the system will do that. I don't have to worry about it.
Okay, fine.
Okay. So now this is the guys first type of things. Let me store the history command also. Okay. So now next thing is mount. What is a mount? So guys, mount means any place in the host machine also you can set it up. Yes. It's not only that you have to keep it only in the var lib docker volume. No, it can be in OPT also. So here I am creating one directory bkp cd bkp, and here I want to mount this into the container. How can you do that? So docker -rn itd ubuntu and -v an external path which is here and colon container path ddd. Done. So right now docker ps docker execute this container opt lsopt, sorry, lsopt. Am I making any mistake?
Yeah, you put the EX.
See, DDD is there, right? DDD is there. So now any files I copy inside that, let's say touch, some files I'm creating, and you see here over there, you can see over there. Any file you create over there, you can see it here. So yes, you can store the files not only in the volumes, but in the mounts also, and the same command will be used for the mounting at the host machine also. Same command. This is the external path, host path, and this is the internal to the containers. So this is the way you can also do the mount. When you store in the memory, it'll get stored in the memory, so that is not a good options. You use it sometime when you want to have a flash sort of memories and stuff like that. Okay. Now full reference I have given in this URL. I showed you the demo history commands I have given here, and all the commands which I had run already. Okay. So now you have to do two things as part of the lab. You have to run all the commands which is related to the monitoring the containers, which I have it here. Okay, all the commands, not only run it, experience it. It's all about experiencing and remember those behaviors. And finally, you will run all these volume related commands also. And for this, I'll give you 30 minutes. And after that, I will talk about working with images. That means now you have learned how to ride a bicycle. Now I'll teach you how to assemble the bicycles using the working with image. So I'll teach you how to develop an image, how to share an image using registries, how to run that image, how to troubleshoot that image, and all these things. All I'll teach you. So let me update this notes to day 2. And I'll give you 30 minutes for this lab. Do it. If you have any doubts, please ask me. It's very important, guys, because remember we have a post test also, and L&D team, they are very concerned about all this stuff. So please help me out so I can help you also on this stuff. Okay, guys, go ahead and get started.
So one.
If you liked our Docker session so far, please enroll our general membership for $399 plan to get access of all the parts.
Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the $399 plan, and grow your skills immensely.
Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest.
Thanks for watching.